The bill that went through Congress in 2000 that allowed the huge expansion of the credit default swaps, which made it possible for a massive expansion of derivatives and all of those kind of things, leading to the catastrophe that we're in now. That particular act, introduced by Senator Phil Graff of Texas at the time, put into the spending bill, was passed by voice vote. Nobody objected. Nobody had time to read it, including our senators and certainly none of us. And yet the impact of that on our lives and on the lives of people all over the world is staggering. So somehow we've got to use this crisis to turn things around and think differently about where we're going and what's important. Let me run really quickly through the whole issue of health care, which is a big one. We're talking about insuring everyone, and we should insure everyone. But we also know what the costs are. Anybody know how much the average American pays for health care each year, if you average it all out? Anybody know the figures? $7,000 about $7,600. It's going to go up to about $8,200 this year, and within a very few years we will be spending $1 out of every 5 on health care alone in this society. We're spending about twice as much as those Europeans are. So what do we get for it? We're obviously the healthiest people on the planet, right? No. Somebody said no. Where do we stand? Anybody know where we stand in terms of life expectancy? We were number 11 back in 1980 when Ronald Reagan took office. Anybody know where the CIA says we stand today in life expectancy?
45.
You guys are right on the money. 46. 46th. Yeah, right below Bosnia and just above Albania. All those other Western European countries and other major industrial countries, people live longer than we do. If you live in Europe today, you are only half as likely to suffer in old age from chronic illnesses like heart disease, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. So you have a situation where people there are healthier and they're spending a lot less than we are on health care. And part of that is the way we do health care. So I think we all know that we need some kind of single-payer system. But a single-payer system is not enough. It's necessary but not sufficient to turn this around. We'd still be paying a lot more money than those other folks are on health care because we're not very healthy. So what I ask you to do is think of health as a house. I mean, health is our goal. Our debate in the United States about health care, there's a problem with the health care debate. It's focused on health care. We should be having a debate about health. That's the goal, isn't it? We should be talking about how, in the most efficient way, we can make Americans among the healthiest people in the world, like we were right after World War II, in fact. So think of health as a house, and think of health care as the roof of the house. Now, our roof is gold-plated. We're spending an awful lot of money, but it has 47 million holes in it, because all those people aren't covered, so that the water gets in. It's the last line of defense protecting us, and lots of us don't have a roof at all. In every other industrial country, everybody gets the roof. It might be made of balsa wood, but they get the roof. Okay, so what about the foundation and the walls? Doesn't matter so much if you've got this roof if the whole thing is collapsing. And this is where we don't pay any attention to what's going on. What's the foundation of the house? What's the important things when we start right off in life?
Family.
Yeah, what we do. And in one case, a simple thing like paid family leave, which makes an enormous difference in children's health, and which every country in the world provides, at least paid maternity leave. Every country in the world provides that, guaranteed by law, except the United States, Liberia, Swaziland, and Papua New Guinea. That's our competition. That's it. Every other country understands that it is important to give mothers and dads, in most cases, and dads too, time to bond with children when they're born. Canada knows it so much that they give people a year off. And they have found that they save so much money on health care costs by doing it for children that they're talking about expanding it to 18 months. We don't get it. We can't get a piddly 5 weeks in Washington State and have the state even pay for it. This is what we got through, but there was no funding source. They didn't provide a funding source for it. We got prenatal issues, all that. I mean, the foundation is what we do to kids at the start, and why it is that our rates of infant and child mortality are just like life expectancy. They're way up there. They're among the worst among industrial countries. Wall 1, after the foundation, lifestyle. Here we're looking at things like, how do you eat? Do you drink too much? Do you smoke? Do you exercise? Do you sleep? Do you do all those things? Something you have to pay attention to, absolutely. But again, how much we work and how little time we have really affects that in a big way. Part of the problems with our diets, with our lack of exercise, and all of these things are caused because we don't have enough time. Wall 2 of the house, stress relief. We know how important a role stress plays in poor health, and I want to get through this quickly, so I'm not going to go through all that, but there are major issues, and there are 3 real major causes of stress in our society. One is overwork itself. A second is insecurity, and our insecurity is huge as people lose their jobs, as we have the poorest safety net for those people, as people don't have health care, all of those kind of things. The sense of insecurity is tremendous. And the third one is hierarchy and extreme competition. And we see that wherever that exists, and where we have enormous gaps between rich and poor and things of that sort, we also have far poorer health results. So stress relief, we need to deal with that. One of the ways we can begin to deal with that is giving people a little more time off instead of working themselves to death, which is what's happening. Wall 3, connection. Probably the most important thing you can do for your health is to have strong relationships with friends and family. This is clear in the schools of public health, and yet what we're finding is that the average American now has only 2 friends he or she can truly count on. A quarter of us have none at all. We socialize far less than people in the European countries, for example, and the whole sense of connection is being lost in our society. And finally, wall 4, and here's where the environment comes in a big way, workplace and environmental health and safety. Now, how does this matter? Well, you got twice as much chance in the United States of dying either as a child or as an adult from an accident than you do in these other countries, whether it be in the workplace or whatever. Things are not as safe. The rules don't protect us in the same way here, and you have twice as much chance to get illnesses and things from the amount of pollutants and other things that we put into the air. Again, at double the rates, the particulate matter, the nitrous and sulfur oxides, all of these kind of things, the rates of asthma, much higher because we don't have the same rules. So, the theme that I want to get to from all of this is that we need to rethink the whole thing. We need to create a way in our society that we can be healthier, that we can in fact have higher life satisfaction, and we can do that, and that we can be far more sustainable. And time, I would argue, is absolutely central to this.